Hello, join us this week on this week's Loose Links. This is a brand new panel ready to discuss news and topics locally as well as nationally. Let's go live over to the panel now to see what they have to discuss tonight. Enjoy the show. This week's Loose Links on this fabulous panel this evening. Join us for the next hour as we hopefully entertain you on this fabulous and funky panel. Joining me, Nicholas James. She's back again for more. It's Claire Browning May, Sam J. Hitwell, and we have a back. It's been a while, but we have a back. It's Mrs. Sue Craven. As we talk about on the panel this week, we discuss Liverpool as they have won the Eurovision. But do we believe Eurovision has had its day? Also, we talk about education again this week, as education has been in headlines, but in a very different way, stating that some pupils still haven't returned since COVID. Now, is this an excuse or is this a real concern? And also, we go back to childhood, well, some of us, as we talk about Scooby-Doo as Velma comes out to be gay. Find out what we all think on this week's Loose Links. Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, how are we? Sue Craven, where you been?
All out and about. This and there.
How are you? Have you been on a lovely holiday recently as well, haven't you? Where you been?
Yeah, been to Madeira.
Did you enjoy it? Was it nice?
Oh, it's lovely, lovely.
The best experience and the best thing that she loves more than anything in life is being on Loose. She begs me every week. She rings me every single week and says, Nick, will you please have me on? Claire, I'm just sorry, love. You're on again.
I know. I might just lose my voice as I'm going through as well. So
just see how we get on. I want to apologise this week. Polls didn't go up this week. It's been a bit of a mad week for Loose. We've got some exciting things coming forward in the new year, which I'll give you a bit of a hint and a bit of a clue. 2 old panellists are returning. And the old panellists were a couple. That's the only thing you're going to know about, but they will be returning in January. Hopefully we've got some new panellists on board as well. We've got some more people coming on. Interviews are being done, so you might see some new faces in the next couple of weeks, but let's see how we get on. But ladies, let's do what we do best and talk about what's been hot topic in news this week. So we start on as Liverpool has been chosen to host the first Eurovision Song Contest to be held in the UK for 25 years. Now this, I've got to say this without laughing, because I did laugh when I read about it. The home of the Beatles, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and the Wombats will stage the spectacular event on the 13th of May after beating off competition from Glasgow. The show is coming to the UK after this year's winter. Ukraine was unable to take up hosting during the war. Also, before we start talking about this, so it has the Beatles, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and the Wombats, but it also has our very own boy there as well, which is Kerry Gillespie. She's from Liverpool, so she wouldn't do a video, you know what she's like, but she's left a few words of what she thinks of it going to her hometown. So let me read what she's put. Kind of interesting, guys. Get ready for this. Kerry. To host the Eurovision in the United Kingdom after 25 years in my home city, which has a lot of amazing music over the years. I know it was close. It was a close call between Glasgow and Liverpool, but you can't understand either of us. So it was always going to be a tough decision. That's Carrie's reaction to Liverpool.
But also, Cilla Black was from Liverpool as well.
Cilla Black. That's what I call Carrie all the time. But ladies, are you a fan of Eurovision? And do you think it's had its day? Let's go to you first, Sue. Are you a Eurovision party person? Are you there by the telly every year, or do you think? Oh.
No, not now. But I do think it's a good thing. I think it brings all the countries, well, in a way, together. No, I quite like it. I'm interested to know what our song is. Like, I loved Spaceman last year, and I thought that was very good. I think it's a good thing. It's a good PR. It's good to have, but I don't watch it end to end. I like to know who's won. Very often there's some quirky characters and some that make you laugh. But no, I do. I think it's okay. It's loads of people still watch it, so it's still popular.
Is it? Do you think it will be as popular in 10 years' time, though, Claire, with the older generation dying off in the nicest possible way and younger people coming more through? Do you think that it will still be as popular in 10 years' time?
I don't know really, because like Sue, I do watch it, and like over the past few years I've had it on, but not really sort of, sat there enthralled in it to see, because it annoys me. I like to listen to each country, but it's just the voting. When it got to the voting, you would 99% know which country was going to go for the top ones. And so therefore for this year, when we came second, I was like, wow. And then because, of course, the first was Ukraine and they can't host it, so they've gone to the second. That's just unbelievable that it was us, because we haven't come anywhere in the top middle, just the bottom. Do you know what I mean? For lots of years. So I really don't know. The guy, like you say, the Spaceman, he was good, but it just depends on who we pick, to be our chosen one. Who knows? Like you say, people still watch it all over the world. So, and it is a good PR. And like you say, the costumes, some of the costumes, oh my God, some of the songs. But it's just a night, it's like Christmas. It comes round once a year, and Easter and all the other celebrations. So why not have the Eurovision once a year?
Is it? Do you think it can be that little bit cringy? Do you think and big names have come from it as well? Big names have come from Eurovision, like Celine Dion was there one year. Do you know what, singing for a country or a place? I can't remember where she was singing. But Sam, is it something that you tend to put on the TV? Do you have it in the background, or do you just not watch it?
No, I don't actually watch TV. But I do like. I always find out what's going on because everybody's putting it all over Facebook.
Yeah.
Everybody puts all over Facebook up there, and I'll be scrolling through, and there'd be like 10 people saying, "Oh, such a country's out now. Oh, such a country's lost." Or have you seen what such a country are doing? Oh my God, that's so cringy. Oh my God, that was so good. I get it all from Facebook. So I used to watch it when I was younger because my mum always watches it, and I watched it when I was younger, when I lived back at home with my mum. But nowadays, it's like with sport though. You always find out what's going on through Facebook because everybody puts it all over there. So social media is good for some things.
But let's go back to the main story, Sue. Let's come to you about this first, about Ukraine, really. Does it sadden your heart that Ukraine is still in a very difficult position?
It does. And the thing is, today there's been the awful bombings again, right in the centre, and it's just so of Kyiv, and it's just so sad. And I think Russia have still, I mean, I believe he's a madman, Putin, and I think he's just trying to get this power. And I think if he's still got lots of air missiles, Ukraine haven't, and I just feel all the governments are helping, and NATO are helping, we're helping, but I think we need to send more things out to them, because I think it's such a, all the innocent people that were killed have been killed in the last 24 hours. And you just think, I think it's unacceptable for them. I think it's must be so sad. All of those that are over here, that are waiting to go back home, a lot of them, they don't want to stay over there in England. They want to go back home, but it's not safe for them to go yet. Their husbands are fighting. I think it's, I think they're a very courageous nation, but I think that Putin won't give up. I mean, he is losing, I think, if we believe what's said, but I think we need to support them as much as we can.
But I also read an article, I've been keeping up with it in the news and that, and somewhere on an article it says that Putin needs to be careful because there's some countries that he believes that are on his side are actually fighting the Ukraine side. So it just goes to show that not all of Putin's allies are his allies. And they actually see sense that what Putin is doing is wrong, which is a good thing, because then, more people go against him, the better.
Do you think we struggle though, Claire? In the fact of there is, and I nearly shared it today, and I wish I did really, but there was a TikTok video saying today about death. Now, he was saying that he was looking at the camera and talking about actually see people more in life than remember them in death. But he made a really bold statement that really stuck in my mind. And it makes me think about Ukraine, actually. And actually, maybe we need it more in news. And maybe we need to see it more. Because actually, he said, after you've died, after 2 weeks, people stop talking about you. After 2 months, you're not at the front of somebody's mind anymore. After a year, apart from anniversaries, you hardly ever thought about. And actually, when we think about war and what's going on, that's not really affecting our lives. Do you think that we need to be reminded of what Ukraine are going through?
I think so, yeah, because like I say, we all lead busy lives. There's always something going on. And like you say, if you don't watch the TV, or read newspapers and things like that, you really have no idea what's going on. I mean, hand on heart, I don't really watch the news. I don't really have time, with my busy life and that. So I don't really know what's going on. And I think it's really sad that the world, a man like Putin can come and do what he's doing, and we're just standing by. I'm not saying we're watching it, because if you do watch it on the news and that, it's heartbreaking, and what can we do? He's a powerful man, but like Sue said, he's a madman. Anybody with power, you're going back to the days of Hitler. It was just a power thing, and everything. And what he was doing was wrong. And, I don't know why Putin does he want to go down in history for being another?
He does. He wants
man?
To be he would like to take over the whole world.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to take over the weakest nations. He's trying, I mean, Taiwan as well, they're saying, aren't they? Isn't it Taiwan? I'm sure it is that they're saying he's just trying to get all he can. And it's just, and nobody will stop him. And even some of the Russians, he's conscripting all these young men who don't want to go in. They've been protesting, and what happens to them? They get tortured, locked up, taken away, and then they're lost.
There's a lot of them that are leaving the country so that they don't get enlisted. But, a lot of the men that are within the age range, they're actually leaving leaving the country so that they don't get enlisted. And as soon as they figured out what was going on, Russia started putting roadblocks in.
They did, blockades, they did.
Yeah, they started
You're
putting
right.
roadblocks in to stop these men from leaving the country.
Which is
Which I
wrong.
find is really wrong, but...
Well, he's a dictator, and as
Yeah.
Claire said, he is. He's one of the worst dictators ever.
Mm.
I think he wants to be more powerful. I feel like he wants to be more powerful than Hitler. I get the impression that that's the kind of power he wants. That's how I feel that he wants. That's how the
I
power
think
he
in
wants.
the UK though, what we've absolutely got to remember is that we take every single day life for granted. Every single day, that how free we are, how it's like this other crisis at the moment. And I'm sorry to anybody that disagrees with me out there. I'm really struggling with this. We can't go too long into it, but I'm really struggling with this gas and electric crisis. I will bring it up in another show. We are complaining that we're going to have 3 hours of blackouts in the evening come January maybe. And how can we live with this and how can we cope with this? Well, I'm really sorry. There's people that have lived with blackouts for 30 odd years that have been in the UK that can't afford to put their electricity on or can't afford to have gas or don't have a front door to lock. So to me, I'm thinking, please just stop your complaining. 3 hours a night is nothing compared to living and sleeping on the street. But as I say in all our topics, in all our debates and topics this evening, have your say. It's just as important that you have your say as well as ours. But we slightly move on to a lighter topic and a man that I find quite easy on the eye, and that's Mr. Olly Murs himself. As he has hit headlines this week, Olly Murs has said about his gorgeous fiancée with whipping him into the best shape of his life ahead of returning to his single life. The Voice coach 38 got engaged to the bodybuilder and fitness model. She's 30 years old in June, and their intense joint workouts are behind how ripped his new look is. But Olly admits he was in quite a bad place during his single years. The star, who released his first album in four years this week, said all of his cheekiness and the fun in the years I was single, it was a facade. I was in quite a bad place at times. I didn't want to talk about it anymore, and I just felt shh. That's all I'll say. I just felt shh and down and lonely. I don't like being single. So that did get me thinking, panel. Do you believe you can be happy single as in a relationship? Let's go to you first, Sue, because you've witnessed both. Do you think you've been as happy single as happy as a married woman?
Yes, I think it's a different type of happiness, but I was absolutely fine. I was single for over 2 years, and I didn't go out looking for a man. I just I enjoyed it, and because suppose the sort of marriage I was in, I just loved the peace and the quiet. I know it sounds daft, but I did. And I think, no, and I'm equally as happy as I am now, but I don't mind my own company. I think it depends on the individual, whether you mind your own company. Yes, I think at times you are lonely, but you can be lonely within a relationship. If you're unhappy, you can be terribly unlonely in a relationship, and I've been there. And I think, I think it's fine. I would be quite happy if I eventually again end up on my own, whatever, with, if he pops his clogs.
Nice.
Because he's older than me. I wouldn't go rushing out looking for another relationship.
Do you agree, Claire? Because Claire, you've been, without putting you on the spot a while, you've been single quite a long time now, haven't you? And what when someone talks about maybe you going on a date or dating, how does it make you feel?
You see, the trouble is, going back to when I was younger, in the single life, I did it, but you know, because your friends and that were all single, and you could go on girly holidays and everything. But then it's as everybody starts to settle down. If you are the single one, it is difficult. And now I am older, and I am still the single one. It is still difficult because when you get invited out, you feel like
You're the
spare part. And you know, my friends know me well enough that I wouldn't eye their husbands up. But do you know what I mean? It is that feeling of like, oh, she's on her own and she's this and she's that. And like Sue said, I enjoy my own company. I've been on my own a long time, but I've not really had time to focus on me because my children were small and now they're growing up. But the thing is, with the dating scene, I don't like it because
I don't.
It's horrible, and I don't want to do online because you don't know who's going to turn up. You know, you're waiting, and then you think, God, is that him? I don't look nothing like him. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, like I say, everybody's different, aren't they? You know, and I have experienced both. And yes, I would like to settle down, but I just think it's when the time's right.
There's no rush.
No, there's no. I mean, I'm only young. I'm only a spring chicken. So, you know, there's a white knight on a white horse. Is that right? I don't know.
Knight in shining armour.
Yeah, something like that. Waiting for me.
I'm still waiting for mine.
Yeah, well, you're younger than me.
Is it scary though? Sam, do you agree? Is it scary, the dating life nowadays?
Oh, hell yes. I've had some interesting first dates in the past, shall we say. I went on one date, and this guy, he was originally from Nigeria, and he'd been in Lincoln for about 15 years, and he had his own career and everything. And obviously, he was a black guy, and he said to me, "Have you dated a black guy in the past?" I went, "Yeah, a couple of times." And he would not stop going. All he wanted to do was talk about the dates I've had in the past with other black guys. And I'm going, "You're weird." Didn't get another date. I didn't go on another date with them. There's so many weird people out there. It's unreal. So, my view is, if someone comes along and something happens, fine. But at the moment, I'm not worried about going out looking for.
To be honest, though, ladies, and I'm going to throw a curveball here. To be honest, Carol Vorderman has been very much impressed this week to talking about her dating life as an older woman. And she stated that she's not now looking for the one anymore. What she has instead is a couple of ones that she goes and sees on an occasion. And actually, she stated that young people are a real inspiration to her, that young people are more fluid now when it comes to relationships, and maybe not just committing to one person. So if a young person can do that, why can't an older lady do that, or an older gentleman, and not be judged? What do you think, Sue?
Well, I think they can do. If they want to, it's up to them. I think they quite can be. I think I wasn't looking for another relationship. I went out, I had a job, I got a job in a bar on a Saturday night in a quite a famous Lincoln hotel, and I used to be behind the bar. That was my night out. I loved it. You'd talk to chats there, and that was lovely. But I never went out looking for somebody. I think if you look too hard, that's when you don't find, or you get, as you say, Mr. Somebody. I had one experience with a chap, as you say, talking to him sounded very nice. Well, when I met him, I think he came up to here on me, and well, it was very funny.
He came up to about here on me.
And he had a
you know what they say
though?
All good things come in small packages.
Oh, I don't know about that when it comes to dating. I don't think I wouldn't say that when it comes to dating.
Black could you
Definitely
be
not.
like that though? Could you be a bit more fluent? Could you be, instead of the one, maybe a couple of ones?
It's too much. It's too much energy, too much effort having more than one.
What are we
I can do
talking?
it.
What are we talking here? Are we talking wine and dining?
Yeah,
Or
friendship.
oh
Like,
no,
when-
are we talking wine and dining?
There is a
Claire,
word for it. It's actually polyamorous. If you have more than one partner, you are polyamorous, which
Yeah,
means poly
exactly.
means many.
So
not.
So
would
there is a word for it.
you have many friends? Would you go and see a couple of friends? We're not just talking about sex buddies. We're talking about Carol Vorderman saying that she'll go out with one man on a Tuesday night that will wine and dine her and have an evening with her, and then go out on a Friday night with somebody else that will wine and dine her, and they're all very aware that they all know each other.
Well, I think that's absolutely fantastic. But just remember, you know a little bit about me, and I can't even get one for a Monday night, let alone for a Tuesday and a Friday. So I think
Don't worry,
Carol's
Claire. I'm the same.
I think she's being a bit greedy. She should give the Friday man to me. You know, whatever. She's lucky. I mean, again, she's got, I don't know, she's got everything, you know, she's got the money, she's famous, and you know, are they going out for her because she is intelligent and they want an intelligent conversation, which she won't get from me? I might make you laugh. But yeah, do you know what I mean? You're talking famous people here. And yeah, I would like to go out a couple of times a week, but not on a Friday because I'm absolutely shattered. Friday.
Not on a Friday.
Friday, no.
Tell us what you guys think at home. Do you think you need to be a bit more fluent when it comes to dating? Do you think that finding the one is an old-fashioned thing nowadays? Or are you just like Sue and you just kill them off? Tell us what you think. Join the conversation. So we move forward onto school education again. It's come up in the news this week again, even though we had a topic about it last week. From schools is storing up problems for young people for decades to come, as a senior MP has warned. The education system is going downhill. So he says that more than 1,000 ghost children have not returned to school since the coronavirus pandemic began. In March, the committee warned of the loss of children at school because of COVID. The government has a new schools bill which is aiming to tighten up attendance. This is going to take months or weeks or maybe years or potentially a decade to complete. Claire, are you surprised at this headline?
Well, if you think 1,000, is that in the UK?
Yeah, the same 1,000.
I mean, I personally know of one young person who has not been at school for 2 years, and that's because they had got autism. You know, they went to mainstream school and all of that, but then of course everything changed, and for somebody like with autism and that, it's like they need things to be continuous and the same, you know. So I can 1,000 doesn't really seem a lot when you think of how many schools there are throughout the country, but you know, people with like autism, you know, it's trying to find out why. And I understand that they want to get the people back into education, but it's not as simple as that. Now, are these ghost children because their parents don't care? You know, there's always children who don't go to school for whatever reason. And I think most schools are on this. You know, they do have a truancy officer, which we do. We have somebody who, you know, if they're not in school, they'll go round and try and find out why they're not at school. And I think, yeah, they do need to do something, but not with the fines and things that they do if they take them out of why they're not at school. They're out of school for a reason. Now, if that's to do with their mental health, as in my son never returned after leaving school, or supposedly didn't stay on because his mental health was more important. So, you know, I understand the government's got to do something, but they've got to make sure that they do it right. You know, like we've said about mental health, it is just spiraled through the pandemic and everything, and more so with younger children, because of course it could have affected their parents, which could have affected them. So their parents might think that they're safer staying inside.
And we are coming on to that, Claire. Actually, that is a subject that we're coming on to very, very shortly within this topic. But Sue, obviously, your children now are way grown up, are sort of my age now. But if put a predicament in front of you, or your grandchildren said that they didn't want to return to school because they were still nervous about COVID, how would you, as a grandmother, if your son or daughter came to you and said, "What do I do, Mum?"
I think I agree with Claire. I think it's not always just to do with COVID. It's any mental health issues they may have. They might have been loners at school, so they've enjoyed being at home in the security of their own home. They might have been bullied. You don't know, and I think you've just got to work with them and see if you can get some help and support with them. I can understand why some children have not left the security of their own home, but it's up to the educationalists to try and find some answers to try and help them. But the thing is, we're stretched, like everything, like the National Health Service. You can't now get, if you've got a child, teenager, even a youngster in crisis, or you've got a child who's had you can't, there isn't enough individuals, professionals to help them, and waiting lists are so long. So I think sometimes they've not had the help and the support, and probably parents support them, but some parents have probably just given up. They've tried to get them to school, but if they're not having any help and support, they can't. And I think, you know, COVID's done a lot for a lot of people, and I think for a lot of children, and I agree, I think it was Claire, or I don't know whether it was Sam, said 1,000 isn't that many in the picture, but it's a sad fact. And
every child counts by the end of the day, don't they? Every child counts. It doesn't matter if it's 10 children or 10,000 children. Every child counts. But what they've also said in the article, that they are giving £10,000 to schools to get children back into schools. Actually, are they looking in the wrong direction? Should they be putting that £10,000 into mental health children's services than schools? What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I do think that there need to be more things need to be more aimed towards children's health, mental health, when it comes to this, because I mean, when you know, when my daughter was younger and I had to try and get help for her when her dad passed, there was nothing out there. CAMHS couldn't take her on for certain reasons, and I was ringing around left, right, and centre. I could not find anything. There's not a lot for children out there.
No.
For their mental health, to help them with their mental health. I mean, she's like 18 now, so she'll be able to go and find it herself if she feels she needs it. But it was so difficult trying to find something for her. And I think this is what they need to do. Instead of giving, like you say, instead of giving that money to schools, it should be put into children's mental health. Help, you know, boost CAMHS up, because CAMHS doesn't have the best reputation at the moment. From what I've been told from many parents, what I've been told, it doesn't have a good reputation at the moment. And what they need to do is they need to turn that around. They need to put the money into that and turn that around and say, look, you know, CAMHS are helping, CAMHS are doing this, that, and the other, but they're not doing it. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with adult mental health as well. I was lost in the system. My case was too complex for the mental health system, so they discharged me, and that was it. My doctor went absolutely mental. She was not happy. So, you know, I just think that children are the future of our country. They are the future. They're going to be the ones running the country in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time. And at the moment, we're not giving them the good, giving them the roots, the good, the stability to be able to grow up into fully functioning adults, because there's nothing there to help them. That £10,000 to go to the schools, it needs to go elsewhere to help the children with their mental health issues and get them back into schools.
But some of them can't get into school. The thing is, when there used to be children that couldn't attend school for whatever reason, there used to be a team, and they used to go round and they used to set homeschool things, and they used to work with them, and even if it was just once or twice a week, and they'd set things and they'd do things, but the funding's gone for that now. So there's just not, these children, they're either got to get back in school, and if they can't get back into school, there's nothing really for them, which is sad.
Yeah, which is why I say they really need to work with the mental health service to try and help them, but also work with the schools to put things in place in case kids don't want to go back to school or can't go back to school for one reason or another. There needs to be something in place for that scenario.
Hard because it's not just children, is it? There's quite a few adults that haven't returned to stuff since COVID, and I feel like we're putting a hell of a lot of pressure on our children here. If you can educate them in the year of 2019-20 via Zoom call, surely having that child on that Zoom call, teaching them with a camera at the back of the classroom, that's better than nothing. Surely that's a start. Do you know what I mean? Of getting the child back into the classroom, of having
like I said, it's like giving schools, helping schools, trying to help the children at home to learn. I mean, like you suggest, putting the camera in the classroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Better than nothing, and it's not going to cost them that much more to run.
Well, I'm sure it's a subject that we won't be very quiet on, ladies. I'm sure it'll keep coming up in the next couple of years, because I'm very sure that we're going to be a long way off anything being back to normality, really, in the normality that we know. And is normality ever going to be there again? Because a lot of people are saying, actually, no, this is normal now. But have your say, see what you think, see if you agree with us on the education. If you've got a child at home that's struggling, actually write into us. Tell us your personal experience. We'd love to hear from you. So from that to a TikTok video, ladies. So the daughter filmed her mother's reaction as she was confused to her orange wallpaper look. It was, in her words, the wallpaper was covered in ladies' vaginas in the clip, and was posted on TikTok, and she called the paper questionable, as the parent was trying to persuade her that it was a beautiful wallpaper. June appears to be red-faced at first, admitting she didn't realise her blurred until it was too late. However, despite the mocking from her daughter, she admired the design and it was lovely, and she put it all over her kitchen. So, Sue, let's go to you first. Have you ever been really embarrassed by your children? Or
everybody.
Ever really embarrassed your child? Tell us a story. Take us back a couple of years.
I can't think. You've put me on the spot now. I think I embarrass them on a daily basis, and the grandchildren now
I could tell you stories about me embarrassing Alicia. We was walking down Ruskin Avenue and was going to Argos to spend her birthday money. Walking down Ruskin Avenue, and a car went past with a song. I can't remember what song it was, but it was one of those songs that has a dance to it. So it went past, and I went, "Oh, I know this song. I know the dance to this song." So I'm going down Ruskin Avenue doing this, and she's going, "Mom, Mom, stop it! You're embarrassing me." And I'm like, well, you embarrassed me, so it's my turn. Come on. And, you know, and I stopped doing it. She hates coming out with me. She doesn't like being seen with me now because she knows I'll embarrass her.
I used to do that all the time with my kids, especially in supermarkets. I've always got music on. I'd often like be dancing or singing, and like at school now, I quite often, you know, when they're lined up already, I know they're not my children, but I quite often would just start like dancing like that. I'd say, "Come on, yeah, we're going home. We're going home. It's time to go." Do you know what I mean? And I sometimes even do it outside, forgetting that even parents are there, and I just think, I'm not embarrassing you. It's just me. Do you know what I mean? But I do all the time to the kids. I can't, not so much now because my daughter, don't shut up.
So, can you remember when I worked in the school with you, and it was the first time you had asked me to cut up the fruit for the children, and I cut it up like that? Can you remember? Can you remember how big it was? He came through and went, "Nick, how the hell have you done this?" It was absolutely massive. And my nephew, sorry, Katie, about to embarrass you, but my nephew is hitting the terrible twos now. And Katie gets really, really stressed when he's stressed. She just doesn't like to see him distraught. And he gets away with quite a bit. He's had I can't go into it too much, but not had the best upbringing, not from Katie at all, just to make that aware, but just something else that happened. But I'm a little bit more stricter to the point of we were going around the supermarket the other day and was going down the aisles and all of that and going through it, and he just threw a paddy because he wanted this chocolate bar. Well, Katie was trying to pick him up and come on, Freddie, let's go this way, and he just wouldn't. So I said, honestly, I'm getting more I don't care as I get older. But I went, right, okay, watch this then. Watch this, Katie. So he threw himself, I went up to him, threw himself on the floor, did the whole bang, 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 screaming. So I laid right next to him and did exactly the same thing. I screamed and I shouted and I banged the floor as hard as I can. And he's not talking at the moment. And he was just like that. And he stood up and just picked my hand up to say, stand up, Nick. Stand up. Don't do it. But honestly, stories like that, I would dread to think of the stories my mum has got. I would absolutely dread to. Sue Craven, can you share the story about the strut holiday?
Which part? You going or?
Yeah, the going part.
You to make sure you got there.
What did you do?
Put a handkerchief. You mean the handkerchief?
Yeah.
He didn't want to go on this holiday, and he was saying he'd miss everybody, and he was getting himself into such a state, so stressed and anxious and everything. And I said, look, we'll find a handkerchief and we'll get your mum to kiss it. And then she'll give you 7 kisses for the night you're away, and you keep it with you. So we did, didn't we?
So I tell you something though, Sue takes no rubbish. So I really gave my mum, you never see this on screen with Sue. She's this lovely, elegant woman, but actually she has got another side to her. Yeah. Because I remember my mum, she worked in the school that Sue worked in, and my mum just broke down, oh, he's been giving me hell, he won't go on this holiday. But Sue walks in, he's going. He's absolutely going. If I have to put him on that bus, he's going.
And you did?
Yeah,
did you enjoy yourself?
I did. It was good. Tell us if you've had any embarrassing stories. Have you been embarrassed by your parents or your mum and dad? Let us know what your story is. Bit of a different story again, ladies, really. A mother has said cutting back on heating is not an option for her and her daughter this winter due to their lung condition. It comes as one lung charity warns there could be a tidal wave of hospital admissions of people living with lung conditions this year. Asthma and Lung UK have said parents should receive financial help. the Welsh government, so this is only the Welsh government at the moment, said it's a NES scheme offered free home improvements for those eligible. This is really, really hard to talk about, and I know it's a situation that's on everybody's mind at the moment, but this is worst case scenario. Claire, do you believe people will die from this crisis?
Definitely. It's going to be people like with conditions, asthma, lung conditions. It's going to be the elderly. I mean, bless them, a lot of them die in the winter months anyway, because they can't afford to put the heating on. So now, with everything doubled, I mean, I'm scared to death. I've already told the kids, you know, I bought you an extra jumper and you've got the bean bags. We like white bean bags, you know, because I'm not putting it on until absolutely I have to. Because now, even now, I look at my bills and I'm thinking that's without even having the heating on. I haven't put the heating on yet, you know, and it's like extortionate, and I'm really dreading it. So, yeah, going back to your question, I think there's going to be a lot of deaths through lung conditions and things like that, and the elderly. But I think also there's going to be a few more suicides, because people are going to be that desperate. They're either going to get into debt, and you know, we're going to have the debt people round, or they're just going to think, what can I do? I can't heat my house, I can't feed my families, you know, or feed themselves. I think it's going to be a very sad time in the future for quite a lot of people, and it's just trying to cope with it. I mean, like, we've just been on about mental health, you know, and that's triggered things already before we've got into the winter months, because, you know, everything's just extortionate. You know, you go into the supermarkets, crisps, it used to be 99p. Cheapest packet of crisps nowadays, as in the multi-packs, £1.25. You know, that's 25p, which is a lot of money. But then you go to other things, you know, everything. And I know everybody had to for whatever reason, but, you know, people on benefits or people who are working, their money's not gone up, you know, not with the cost of living. So how on earth are we expected, you know, if you could afford a holiday, then good on you, you know, because it's hard. And then you get the adverts on the telly that say, you know, save up for your funeral. I think, how can people save for the funeral when they can't even save for when they're alive, let alone when they pass?
Do you agree, Sue?
I do agree. And I think it's, you know, there's families as well. These days, again, tell me if I'm wrong, but very often when you first start out in life, now youngsters, they think they'll have everything. They get the big house because they were given lots of money, double or whatever their wages, and now they're having struggling. They've probably got children. They're working. I mean, I know people who go to the food bank, have to go to the food bank in the village, and they both work full time. But they've got a house, they've got a mortgage which has gone up, as you say. They've got the heating bills, and I just think, gosh, they're trying so hard. And as for people on benefits, I don't know how they're going to manage these meter things. They seem to take all the money. The way they were saying, somebody on the television was saying how much a card used to last him something like 4 days or even nearly a week. Now it lasts him 1, possibly 2. And that's before he puts the heating on. I think it's a real worry.
I mean, with the thing about the heating, I mean, we've had to stop putting the heating on because me and my daughter, we have problems with our joints. If it's too cold, then we won't be able to move, won't be able to do things that, and she wouldn't be able to go to college. But, you know, and I also I need the electric for my lift as well, because I have a lift because I can't use the stairs. I have a lift that goes through my bedroom floor. And, you know, I have to have these. We need these things for our, you know, for our health. I mean, I know it's not like life or death situations, but still, if we want to be able to function and do things, we need to have, like, make sure that, you know, we're not too cold, that our joints don't move, or, you know, if the electric goes out when I'm halfway down in my lift, you know, I could be halfway down in my lift and the electric goes out and I'm stuck, you know, that's all stuff that you know, that goes through my head. What if this happens? What if that happens? So it is something that that's been playing on my mind lately, a lot more lately, obviously with everything in the news and that. But it is scary. It's scary to think about, and especially if, you know, it's not just me I've got to think about, it's my daughter as well, and her husband, she has asthma as well. So I have to think about her as well as myself, and so I'm trying not to get too emotional about this. It's hard. It is hard, especially, you know, like, you know, being on benefits and that. It's hard to try and think about more than a week in advance.
It's okay to be emotional about it, Dan, actually, because I think a lot of people are. A lot of people are scared and emotional. Yeah. I don't think you're the only one. But ladies, let me throw this out to you. Do you really believe that we're going to have blackouts?
Probably so. Yeah. I don't know how do you saying blackouts, is that everything goes off?
Yeah, everything goes off. Done.
You see then what happens then with people that need like ventilators or stair lifts and things like that, you know. And I know like your fridges and your freezers are all okay because, like you say, they only do it for a few hours and that's supposed to be okay. You know, like the world is a different place from back in the blackout times of the wars. You know, we've got more gadgets and things like that, but a lot of people rely on. So I just don't know if they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, and how it will work personally.
I think I'm directing this question to you, really, Claire and Sam, because both of you, as stated, has got vulnerable people within your home. And even you, Sue, actually, sorry, completely forgot, vulnerable people in your home. Does it worry you about these blackouts and these non-heating? Do you think the vulnerable are being more protected and more helped, or do you think that we need to be doing more?
I don't think that I think they're just kind of tarring us all with one brush. It's just like, right, we've got all these vulnerable people, let's just do this for them all. But what they, you know, what they do for one person may not suit another. And they just like putting everybody in one box to go, right, they're vulnerable people, so we'll do that. They're not vulnerable, so we'll do, you know, they don't matter, kind of thing, you know. And I think that they need to look at individuals. I mean, it might be a bit more difficult to do, but they need to kind of like, I feel like that they just put everyone, like I said, they just put everyone in one box and just have everybody do the same thing. It's like all vulnerable people get the same treatment. Doesn't matter what's going on with you. And I just feel that's, you know, I just feel that's wrong because some people need it more than others.
Yeah. Claire, what do you think?
The thing is, again, though, with if you're saying a blackout and they turn everything off, and when everybody turns everything back on, you're just going to get this surge. You know, everything's run now by the internet, and all those little boxes, if they're turned off, and then they got to be rebooted, and that is just like I'm saying, the internet side, let alone everything else that requires electric and that. I don't know if they could do it. I don't know. Like I say, it's probably been said it's going to be in the pipeline, but you know, is it really something that would be viable? Is that the word? Viable to do?
I'm hoping that it's just scaremongering in the press.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that it won't happen. But you just don't know. And I think it's not only people, as you say, who are vulnerable and who've got vulnerable people in their houses, but it's people who are living on their own. My friend lost her husband and nearly 2 years ago. And she said she's She said, I'm frightened if I'm on my own. What will I do? So you just get everything ready. So you've got it in a kit. It is hard. You know, my goddaughter, she has additional needs, lives in the housing association, does very well. I don't know how would cope being in. So again, I'm going to make up a pact for her with it. But you know, it can be frightening for people as well. Elderly people.
But do you think in a sort of way as well, flipping it on the coin and being a devil's advocate here, that it will bring people back together again? So in my eyes, when I think about it, I live alone, but pure example, Sue Humphrey, who's on this show occasionally, she lives alone. So in my head, I'm thinking in those 3 hours that it's off, I might, because they're stating 3 hours, aren't they, at the moment? They're stating in the press 3 hours in an evening. I might just go round and see Sue for those 3 hours.
But just think, if you knocked on her door and it's dark, would she be frightened? Would she open?
Well, I'd say, like they say, it's 7 o'clock. So they state it's 7 till 9. I would maybe go to Sue's for 6:30 and make Sue very aware that I'm coming. Hi, Sue, I just thought, instead of us both sitting in our houses completely on our own, I'm coming round to see you, just to chat, just to sit in a candled room. So in that sort of way, do you think it might bring us a little bit back together?
Well, I'd like to think so.
I think it's a lot of it. I think a lot of that is wishful thinking, because nowadays everybody keeps themselves to themselves. It's like I've been in this house since June, since beginning of June, and I only know I've only ever seen either next door neighbours. I don't know anybody else in the street. I've not met anyone else in the street, and it's just like everybody's just so have their own little bubble. They just live in their own bubble. They live in their own.
But I've had that conversation today, Sam, with my best friend, and I've stated we need to start popping that bubble.
Yeah.
We need to start popping that bubble, and instead of living in our own little worlds and our own little nests, actually nothing's going to change. Yes, a lot of it is to do with the government, and a lot of it is to do with us. A lot of it is to do with knocking on a neighbour's door and going, "Hi, I live next door. Nice to meet you." Do you know what I mean? So I think when as well as, yes, I agree with you, Sue. I hope to God that it's just scaremongering, but actually maybe it'll bring us back together. You, Sue, you've got a big family. Imagine saying to your family, right, it's all going off at 7 o'clock. Come round. We'll have a candlelit room. And I was saying to my friend the other day, actually, will it bring the olden time days values back? So, like, if you go to visit somebody now when they've got children, one's in the bedroom on the iPad, the other's upstairs on the PlayStation, this, that, and the other. Will that completely? Will family life come back together?
Yeah, that's
because
true.
Actually, there's no. Claire be like, "Can I come round to yours, mate?"
I'm coming.
I'm diverting the kids.
Yeah.
I'm coming round. But there's that to think about as well. But let's go on to our final subject, which is quite a controversial subject, really. So let's see what we think on this. Scooby-Doo! Who remembers Scooby-Doo? The Scooby-Doo character Velma Daphne, is it Daphne? Daphne has come out as lesbian on screen after years of fans' speculation. The scientist Wiz, known for her orange turtleneck sweater and a black square glasses, gets her first official love interest in the new animated movie Trick or Treat, released this Tuesday. Fans have gone wild as the film shows the mystery inappropriate super member lost for words when she met Coco for the first time. Trick or Treat is the first time the character has been confirmed as lesbian on screen after the series was first created in the year Sue was born, 1969.
Oh, it's so rude. So rude, ladies.
But do you think? Let's go to you first, Claire. Actually, you're still in education. Do you think this is good to have children see this in children's programmes?
Going back to Velma, have we ever seen Velma with a man?
No.
Any boy
No.
There was a series that they did. I didn't like I can't remember which series it is, but it's a series I didn't like. They changed the style of it and that. But she did date Shaggy for a while, and because
I wonder what you were going to say then. Tom. I got a bit
in
scared.
front before Thelma broke it off, and he was like, "Okay, then, never mind," and he started eating food again. You know, but
Right.
he put food before Thelma, and Thelma was like, "No."
I don't know. Like I say, I think it's quite a taboo subject when you're talking about children, personally, in a children's programme, because I can't really think what age group it's attracted to, you know. And the thing is, children, even at secondary school, are finding themselves. I mean, you know, we have got some that not think they're girls, but do you know what I mean? As in your emotions and everything. And I don't know.
I can actually say that you know, with when you were saying about high schoolers trying to find themselves, that's when my daughter came out to me, was when she was, I think she was about 14, 15 years old. And you know, she'd struggled with her identity. She did, you know, she wrote a letter to me, so, you know, explaining everything that she was going through. But she had a really good set of friends who supported her through everything. And you know, and that was, you know, and I was happy that she had that set of friends, because they were all very supportive of her and helping her figure herself out. But she did, you know, like I said, when she came out to me, I already knew, you know, you have the mother instinct. I already knew. And she knew that I already knew. So
Claire, can I say though, I slightly disagree.
Yeah.
Only because I think they're not talking about going in detail on Scooby-Doo about a lesbian relationship. But if I think back to when I watched cartoons as a kid, it was the beginning of learning about relationships. It was beginning I remember being a kid going, "Oh, I can't watch that, they're kissing on the screen, I can't watch that." And my mum and dad, well, my mum, would go, "Well, their boyfriend and girlfriend, of course they're going to do that. That's what love's all about. You'll feel that eventually. You'll want that, this, that, and the other." Actually, I think it's really important that we normalise from a very, very young age LGBT relationships.
Yeah.
And
it shouldn't be that, like, it's when, you know, when it's like within the MCU, there's when they introduced America Chavez America, I can't remember her name, but she was LGBTQ. She had two mums, and there was a big thing about it. And I'm thinking, you know, there shouldn't be a big thing about it. It should just be normal. It shouldn't be kind of, you know, it shouldn't be made a big thing of it. It's something that should happen all the time anyway. It should be part of our. You would think by now we would be evolved enough that LGBTQ relationships are normal, you know.
But you won't get that. We've had this on another program, you know, going back to black people. You know, you're always going to have people who are against black people. And then you're going to get it about the same couple. Or, do you know what I mean? There's always going to be.
You get what you mean, but the only way to tackle that is to keep showing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The only way because the thing is, if we don't do something, Claire, we're going to still have children growing up feeling that they're not normal.
But what is normal? You're saying the word normal, and now, I mean,
they grow up feeling different. I think is probably a better way of saying it. They feel different to their peers.
And how do we normalize that, and how do we make it actually not a subject? Like again, if I'm honest, this has annoyed me. This is big in press. Oh my word, Velma is gay. Do you know what I mean? Why does it need to be?
But the thing is, that kind of thing is not the first time a cartoon has had that kind of thing. Had the LGBTQ theme. There's a cartoon series called Steven Universe, which is what Alicia used to watch all the time, and that is very heavily LGBTQ. There's a lot of that in there. I think that's where
as well. Do you think that it actually, to have it on children's screens? I'm not talking about, if people think I'm talking about really heavy LGBT relationships on cartoon screens, I'm not. But I'm saying I think it's really important that there's a gay character in a cartoon script nowadays. What do you think, Sue?
I think you're right, but I think there are getting more and more. There's more books, there's more open. Every classroom has books. I think it's becoming more open. I don't agree or disagree. I think, it's Scooby-Doo. I wouldn't be up in arms about it. As you say, it's the woke. We've got so much about woke, everything being politically correct and everything. I think it's good. I don't see any point. I mean, I think we're getting to the stage now that things are becoming easier, and they should be. But then, as Claire said, we'll always have the bigots, and it won't be all the older people. It'll be some young people as well. It'll be, it'll always be hard. But I think the more we get it out, and the more it becomes a norm.
Yeah.
It'll be easier.
And I think that's important. I'm not completely disagreeing with you, Claire, but I just feel that there needs to be, on some sort of level, and age appropriate is the word that's in my head.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
But like you say, Scooby-Doo is a cartoon, isn't it? So I don't think, like you say, love interest, I don't think you really have seen any of them kissing anyway. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So yes, I do get what you're saying.
And it's just that word, isn't it? Like in the new animated film, they could just say, "Oh, that's Velma's girlfriend." And
yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
That's just because there's no sexual in cartoons, is there? But just, do you agree that statements like do you agree that statements like that, Claire, need to be still in cartoons and not analysed as much, but just a little one-liner that throws something else in to make a child think?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. In everyday life, not just whatever. Whatever thingy you are. It is all about letting the child think. But as the producers and the people of these things have just got to make sure, like you've said, it's child appropriate.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then that's good, because children need to learn, and that's the way of the world. It has been for ages, but people have come out.
Exactly. Ladies, unfortunately, that's the hour gone. That's it. We've covered an hour, but can we just do a massive shout out today? Big love sent to everybody. It's World Mental Health Day today. So we are thinking about every single person out there who suffers in any way, any condition, any depression. We are thinking about you this evening. Thank you for joining us on this week's Loose Links. Keeping us always entertained and smiled is Claire Brown in May. The person with the headscarf that always has that smile is Sam J. Hitwell. And hide your daughters, because the person that kills them off is Sue Craven. See you next week. Have a lovely week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.